The international break is finally over, and that signals a return to Premier League action for Chelsea, who this weekend are facing Lancashire side Burnley at Stamford Bridge. Lads, lasses and the rest of the masses, welcome to the lead-in. Let's set the scene here. It's Chelsea versus Burnley, 11th in the Premier League versus 19th. This is a very important game for us as it presents an opportunity to close the gap to the teams above us, with us currently being 3 points behind 8th place with a game in hand. A win here could see us leapfrog Brighton if we put 4 goals past Burnley without a reply. Other results will play a big part in our weekend too, but we have to do our part first and get these 3 points. So we need to get past Burnley first in order to do that, a team that has been seeing a bit of an upturn in form as of late, spearheaded by their new striker, Chelsea loanee David Datro Fofana. The Ivorian has 4 goals and 1 assist in 8 games, which is 0.76 G/A per 90, which is pretty impressive considering the sides Burnley have faced in that period, such as Liverpool and Man City. They now have a draw and a win in their last 2, which for a team the standard of Burnley is a very good set of results. They'll be looking to maintain some of that form against us, so let's take a brief look at how their team could line up for this one. Firstly, let's talk absentees. Burnley have a decent chunk of players missing. Luca Koleosho, Aaron Ramsey and Nathan Redmond are all out with long-term injuries, and Jordan Bayer and Almin Al-Dakhil are also doubtful for this one. The informed David Datro Fofana is unable to play versus his parent club, which is a big loss for Burnley and a massive boost for us. I'll be putting Vincent Kompany's side into a standard 4-4-2 formation, but due to some of those injuries, they could possibly line up differently. First up in goal though is going to be their number 2, Arjane Muric. He came in to replace Trafford in their last game and had a pretty good showing, so I expect him to retain his place. The defence is going to be the exact same back 4 that started versus Brentford, so on the right hand side is going to remain their brand new signing Lorenz Asignon, who was impressive in that game. The centre-back partnership will once again be Dara O'Shea on the right and Maxime Esteve on the left, as Al-Dakhil and Bayer are out injured as mentioned before. Finally, over on the left will once again be Charlie Taylor. Moving into the midfield 4, we'll start over on the right, where once again the Brazilian Vitinho will play. The 2 central midfielders will be the partnership of Josh Cullen and Sander Berge as ever, and finally, over on the left will be goalscorer last time out Jacob Brun Larsen. That leaves the 2 men up top, and as David Fofana can't play, I believe he will be replaced by Lyle Foster, who will play on the right side alongside Wilson Odobert, the man who scored against us back in October. As I said, just a brief overview of what I expect their team to look like. There could be more rotation in the side in truth, but I think they'll try and keep their momentum from the last fixture up and won't change much. Now let's quickly take a look at how Chelsea could line up. We have added even more players to our extensive injury list in the lead up to this game, with 9 players confirmed to be injured, with a few others likely not being able to feature too. I think that we'll continue to use the 4-2-3-1 despite this, with a bit of a rotated side, and as ever I'm going to show what I expect Pochettino to pick, then show my own lineup afterwards. Starting with the goalkeeper, I'm going to be putting in Georgia Petrovic. Robert Sanchez is one of the new additions to the injury list and won't feature here, but the Serbian was likely going to start here regardless. The back 4 is going to be changed from our last fixture, with more injuries hitting this part of the squad, but starting with the right back it's once again going to be the informed Malo Gusto. The centre-back pairing will change. Trevoh Chalobah has been added to the crocked list, joining Levi Colwill and Wesley Fofana, so Axel Disasi will start on the right, alongside Thiago Silva. For the left back, this one picks itself. Ben Chilwell got a knock whilst playing for England and is a doubt for this one, so I'd expect Marc Cucurella to play in this role. Moving into the midfield, we'll start with the holding roles. We could see some change here as Enzo Fernandez is returning late from international duty and hasn't trained yet, so I'm going to stick with the same 2 that played in the FA Cup, Moises Caicedo sitting deep alongside Conor Gallagher. Ahead of them in the attacking midfield roles, let's start on the right where Cole Palmer obviously starts as ever. The central role is going to be filled once again by Mykhailo Mudryk, who after scoring a late winner for his country in midweek is in fine form as of late. Carney Chukwuemeka is another player back on the injury list, so no involvement for him in this role unfortunately. Over on the left, I'm regrettably going to be sticking with Raheem Sterling, who despite being utterly woeful in the last game, I don't expect Pochettino to drop. Up top will of course be Nicholas Jackson, who's currently in wonderful form for Chelsea. He's got 4 G/A in his last 4 matches, and will be looking to add to that tally here. This is what I'm expecting, but what would I personally change? Well, not much can change due to the extensive injury list, but I do have a few changes to suggest. Firstly, that left-sided centre-back role could be filled with Benoit Badiashile instead of Thiago Silva, as he's just been taken off the injury list. However, no one is quite sure about his fitness yet, so I think Thiago is the safer pick. In the middle, we could see Cesare Casadei play. He wasn't eligible to play in the Cup as he was cup-tied, but could slot into Enzo Fernandez's vacant spot instead of Gallagher, as I think he'd suit the role very well. Getting high up the pitch into forward positions is something he is great at. For the attacking midfield line, I would 100% drop Sterling out of the lineup. I think other players such as Noni Madueke, who got 2 goals and 2 assists for the England under-21s in midweek, are far better than him and should be playing on merit. I'd put Noni into the right wing spot, push Palmer central and have Mudryk playing off of the left, despite my reservations about Cole playing in that central area. So those are my lineups, and I'd like to hear from you guys too. So for today's question of the day, answer me this. We play Burnley, Manchester United, Sheffield United and Everton in our next 4 games. How many points do you expect us to gain over these 4 games and why? Let me know in the comments down below with QOTD at the start as always, and I'll pin my favourite answer. Now, we've played Burnley in the past, so I won't be covering them in too much detail here, but as always, I'll be looking back at the previous fixture with them and point out what our keys to success are. Last time out against the Claret and Blue side, we battered them 4-1, but it wasn't without any faults. We went behind in the early stages of the game because we didn't really get up to speed quick enough, which has been an issue that we've seen multiple times this season so far. Burnley are a much improved side from that game in October, and so we'll have to start quickly and put our foot on the gas early. Burnley are one of those teams that kind of fall apart as soon as they concede, and the earlier we can score, the easier it will be to break them down later in the game. As ever, our press will have to be aggressive but controlled. We can't allow Burnley to settle, then build in confidence as the game goes on, like we've seen countless times this season. Likewise, we'll have to be clinical and take our chances, because a 1-0 lead is never a safe scoreline at Chelsea, and Burnley will have the confidence that they can get back into the game against us if we don't put the boots to them. We have struggled to beat low blocks all season, and this could end up being another game where we have to face one. However, Burnley, to their credit, do try and play on the grass, sometimes to their own detriment admittedly. We'll have to be prepared to be inventive, counter-attack where we can, and punish them if they do get too adventurous. Wing play was a major factor against Burnley last time out. They struggled to deal with the direct dribbling of Raheem Sterling on the left-hand side, and Cole Palmer had a wonderful game cutting infield from the right and interchanging with Conor Gallagher, scoring his first goal for the club from the penalty spot too. I think if either of them play, Noni Madueke and Misha Mudryk will have a field day running at their opposite number, and considering the good form that they both have been in as of late, I can see us getting a lot of success with this direct style. We need to create 1v1s or 2v1s out wide and give those wingers the opportunity to get their creative juices flowing. On the flip side, with this rotated backline / midfield, we will need to remain organised. Any silly mistakes could be very costly in this type of game against the lesser side, and we know how poor we have been from set pieces and the like. Hopefully with Petrovic in goal, the backline will be much calmer than it was with Sanchez in net, and he might finally be able to get a clean sheet here against a weaker team. For a score prediction, I'm going to be predicting a comfortable Chelsea win. Burnley are a much inferior side, and I don't predict them to cause us many problems with Didi Fofana ineligible to play against his parent club. I'll be going for 5-0, with Jackson getting a brace, Mudryk and Palmer getting a goal each, and Cesare Casadei getting a late one off of the bench for the Blues, with the away side unable to get a goal themselves. We'll have to wait until the game to see if any of my predictions are correct, and as always, I'll be live streaming after the game to give my first reactions. But if you can't wait until then, maybe watch one of these 2 videos on screen in the meantime. Thank you guys so much for watching, and remember, in the rain or in the dry, keep that blue flag flying high. Come on you Blues!